Hey guys, so I run a AI lead generation agency, and this is what my calendar looks like on a day-to-day basis. This is like 9 calls in a week, and I book anywhere from 5 to 10 calls a week for both myself and my clients. And sometimes I start campaigns and immediately book 2 calls in 2 days. For example, I did that literally just Monday and Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. I booked a call yesterday and today for my client for whom I started a campaign just yesterday. Hey guys, so I run a lead generation business with AI, and I book anywhere from 5 to 10 sales calls per week for both for myself, my agency, and my clients. So this is a video that goes over what a 90-day sprint engagement looks like. Essentially, the first 90 days in which we get started with the sprint of running outbound for a company, for a B2B company, and what it looks like over the course of these 3 months in which we book lots of sales calls and produce lots of leads for a client. Why 90 days? That might be your first question, right? Like, why 90 days and why not 30 days or 60 days or 6 months, right? 90 days is the exact sweet spot to test out cold outbound for any kind of company and any kind of offer, right? This why the sweet spot? Because there are things like warm up, email and infrastructure warm ups. There are things like testing of offers, testing of email variations, and testing of different customer avatars. And we need to do all of these different things over a course of anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, one at a time or together, in order to get enough data to understand what's working with the market, what's resonating with the market, what kind of messaging is working, what kind of offer is working, why it's working. We need to be able to study all of these factors in order for us to actually know that, okay, this is a data that is telling us that we can scale this particular offer and this particular messaging to we can scale this particular offer and messaging to 100x the amount of volume that we're doing right now, right? Business workspace, new clients onboarding, I can manage lead list scraping, I can manage lead list enrichment, qualification, and verification. And I can also manage generating smart lead campaign drafts, creating new offers, creating new email variations, handling the reply queue, and I'll be going over each and every one of these steps in detail and how I manage all of them with Claude Code. But these are the exact steps that I need to take care of day after day, week after week, both for myself, my campaigns, for getting me clients, as well as my client campaigns for getting them booked calls or new leads, so on and so forth. So handling the reply queue, generating calls booked, marking marking them properly in CRM, and so on, right? So I'm giving you my AI Arc API key. I want you to scrape 5,000 dentists in the US from this from AI Arc. Put correct industry filters and in both include and exclude columns, and make sure to verify over a sample of 50 leads, and if more than 45 leads out of 50 belong to the correct customer avatar, then you can go ahead and scrape 5,000 leads for me. And make sure to give me the before and after of how many credits we have left and so on as we scrape it. And always monitor for errors and notify me if anything goes wrong or if you need any clarification. Right, so this is essentially what we do. Right, um, let me show you the complete prompt here. the US from AI-Arc, put the correct industry filters in both include and exclude columns, and make sure to verify a sample over a list of 50 leads. If more than 45 out of 50 is essentially 90%. So you want your the list that you're scraping, you should do a manual check for them. Obviously, we don't want to waste time here because we are running on a clock. We want to do this entire thing in 20 minutes. So we just instruct the AI that, okay, go ahead and check those websites, check those industry columns, check those company descriptions, any of those columns and company filters that we have so far. And if they are the correct customer avatar, then you can go ahead and scrape 5,000 leads for me. So essentially, I'm saying here, I've built an organic system that identifies lookalike companies, no ad spend needed, and I even promise you 20 new meetings in the next 45 days, or you won't pay a cent. Essentially, what I'm selling is new client revenue is your dream outcome that you're selling. So your offer needs to actually be clear enough, and it should be mixed up with your unique mechanism so that it looks like you know what you're talking about. Remember, you've already sold yourself in your previous case study line that you inserted in the email. So people are reading it from top to bottom. They already know that you worked with another company that looks like them, and that hopefully looks like them. If it's a different vertical, you can also frame it in a way that makes it seem as if you know what you're talking about. Obviously, many things in lead generation, marketing, any kind of thing that you're selling in this client acquisition domain, most of these principles are translatable from one vertical to another. But there are some people who will object to it and say that, okay, no, e-com is much different than you selling to marketing agencies. So maybe it's different, maybe it's not. But excuse me, the thing is that you can frame it in a way that makes it relevant for them. My campaigns, manage replies, build reply drafts, send those replies, call people, get their email information, get their email threads, read those email threads, book them into calendars. I do all of that through my Claude workspace. I literally have to leave my Claude Code workspace, you know, I guess like once or twice a day. That's it, and that's only for like 10 minutes. And for some menial task that I should always look up and make sure that to verify, even if Claude has done a perfect job, I'll still need to verify. So it's only for those things that I actually need to go into the UI and do it myself. Otherwise, Claude has connections everywhere in every tool and platform that I need for every single one of these steps that I've shown you here. And it can do it all automatically. You just need to prompt it properly. You just need to talk to it properly, right? So let me bring my workspace right here. Um, so you'll see that this is my Claude workspace. Um, I will expand it a little bit so that you see it, and so what I'll first is you'll see that I have lots of Claude workspaces or Claude terminal windows open. But so what I'll do now is essentially make sure to increase the effort of the model to max effort, because I'm on a max plan, so I can use that and upload it to bypass permissions, because I do not want to be bugged again and again for Claude asking me permission to read a file, write a file, and so on and so forth. I want it to be hands off. And the thing that you have to make sure when you're operating your Claude Code in this bypass permissions mode is that you're operating it in a folder in which you don't want actually scaling step. So essentially what you do now is take C1 and C2, right? These are the two things that you want to scale, two campaigns that you want to scale, right? So C1 and C2 are the campaigns that you want to sell. And when you want to start scaling from day, let's say day 46 to day 90, and hit your goal, the number of booked call target or number of leads target, whatever it is, right? You want to actually do something like you do a 70-30 split. So 70% of your new volume, the newly scraped fresh leads that you want to scale your campaign with, will go to C1, which is your superior campaign with 0.5% reply rate. Okay, it's C2. So 70% of your volume goes to C2, and 30% goes to C1. Or you can do a 60-40 split. That depends completely on how much you want to test. So let's say you scraped 50,000 leads to scale up the campaign. Let's say you want to get like 20 calls. 50,000 leads should be enough to get you 20 calls, right? So it's like you can just do a 60-40 split. So you run about 30,000 leads to C2 and 20,000 leads to C1 and just scale it up. So that's how you hit your target essentially. And this is how a 90-day growth period would look like. If you want to actually make your cold outbound actually work, you can even frame it as an onboarding call itself. So you will be talking about your agency's processes and how it's gonna work with them, the exact timeline and everything. But you can frame it as an onboarding call. So you can frame that this prospect is closed already. It's like a psychological tactic that you can use to make sure that these guys actually do like have enter into a frame of mind that makes them more ready to buy. If and it only works if you know how to do it properly and they have the urgency. If they want to solve this 6 months from now, this call is essentially like a waste of time, like complete waste of time. And unless your agency's buying process is 6 months, you do not want to be conversing with these people for like 6 months, right? So it depends on the exact client, but in normal cases, you won't be talking to people who want their problem solved 6 months from now. So assuming that's not the case, you can exactly convey the ROI, and that's how you close.